Good evening to viewers, and thank you so much for joining us in this edition of the Primetime Newscast on ETV. 40 days to the close of the biometric registration of voters, the littoral region is just about 35% gone with the entire exercise. Political observers of the political scene blame the situation on the lack of confidence on the country's electoral system. And also in this newscast, we take you to the southwest region of the country, where the southwest regional Governor Bernard Okala-Bilai says that SDOs of the region would be held responsible if earmarked projects ahead of the country's reunification celebrations are not completed on time. He was speaking during the first evaluation meeting which took place in that part of the country. And also in this edition of the Primetime Newscast on ETV, we take you out of Cameroon, precisely to Cote d'Ivoire, where reports say Cote d'Ivoire's former Minister of Youth, Blay Goudet, is said to be involved in violent crimes during Laurent Gbagbo's reign in that country, was today arrested. Details and more just in a moment. Thanks indeed, viewers, for joining us tonight in this edition of the Primetime Newscast. We begin right away in the capital city, Yaoundé, where accusing fingers are pointing at bike riders at the Mimboman village are said to be responsible or having masterminded the death of the two young girls who reportedly died recently in that part of the country. But the bike riders say that they are not responsible, and they are portioning the blames on some high-profile men that are entering the village or that have been entering the village recently. Details with Yaoundé-based correspondent Roland Akon.
Inhabitants of Mimboman say their mode of life has changed as insecurity heightens in the neighborhood. This gentleman tells us that by 6-7 p.m., many Mimboman inhabitants are already indoors. This other gentleman adds that inhabitants of Mimboman are now careful of the bike they take. Accusing fingers are pointed at bikers as perpetrators of insecurity in the neighborhood. Accusations which the bikers have rejected.
Donc il y a certaines personnes qui apportent les corps et venir déposer au quartier. On ne connaît pas ce problème-là, donc ce sont les gens qui sortent d'ailleurs.
Bikers say those who kill young girls and extract their body parts come on board Porsche cars from elsewhere.
Et on constate qu'aux environs de 1h, 2h, 3h, quand nous travaillons la nuit, il y a les VX, les grosses voitures qui défilent ici avec, pour opérer. Et après leur passage, là on découvre les corps.
Evidence they add is that of all the corpses found, no one belonged to a Mimboman family.
Les corps qu'on retrouve au quartier Mimboman ne sont pas les habitants de Mimboman.
Inhabitants of Mimboman are calling on the government to electrify the area and install security posts for their security.
Locals of Mimboman in the capital city Yaoundé saying that they are not responsible for the death of some two young girls that reportedly died in that part of the country. Now we take you back to the economic capital Douala, where those in charge of transporting sand at the eastern entrance into the Douala or the city of Douala would have to quit the area before January 31st. The decision is contained in a prefectural order signed by the senior divisional officer for Vori, as a senior reporter Christopher tells us in the following report.
Road users heading to or from the western region find it pretty difficult passing through the place called Chateau d'Eau in Bonaberi, that is near the motor park of the locality. Reason being that sand trucks do illegally occupy the two sides of the road.
Trying to tell people that we are really causing traffic jam here in Bonaberi. But we have made a meeting with the prefect. He has told us, given us a bit of time, that by the end of this month, we should leave the place. And we're okay with him.
These big engine drivers and proprietors claim to make ends meet this way, same like taxi drivers plying the same road.
Because I think he took a really fine decision to ask us to dialogue with us, with the authorities, So we are okay for the time he gave us.
A situation that has pulled the attention of the Vuri divisional authorities, who have waged a war against urban disorder aimed at easing traffic along this road that is in the economic capital, Douala.
We got the message, we wrote to him, and he has given us again 1 month at least. So we are now busy. We are searching for a different seat. We are trying to negotiate with those who have a plot around Bonaberi, going to Begoko.
It should be noted that defaulters shall simply, and according to the prefectural order jointly signed by authorities and the said transporters, be sanctioned, although the type and nature of the sanction that awaits them is yet unknown.
And transporters are calling for dialogue when the research modernization allowances of lecturers in state universities of the country were expected to be paid today, as announced by the Minister of Higher Education, Jacques Famtongo. But some lecturers at the University of Douala have testified that they went to the bank today and discovered that the ministerial decision are still to be respected, and lecturers have since yesterday grounded their tools, demanding for the payment of their modernization allowances, and they say that they would not continue lecture until the ministerial decision or the minister's announcement is followed with concrete measures. And lectures were, however, going on at the University of Douala today, where our reporters went to, and students said that not all the lecturers respected the protest demonstrations. Now, unlike in some state universities in the country, classes seem to be going on at the University of Yaoundé 1 in Guayaquil. Correspondents who visited the campus of that university observed that there were no visible signs of any strike action. Roland Akon tells us more in the following report.
On the campus of the University of Yaoundé 1, there are no visible signs of a strike action by university lecturers. Nonetheless, classes are going on intermittently on the campus of the mother university.
The classes are not effective. It's only one teacher that came today, but yesterday no teacher came.
Yeah, we had classes regularly. It's just this morning that our teachers did not come, and they told our head of our field that we should just wait for the teacher. So I don't know that the grave is going to, or the strike is going to stay for so long.
Some students blame the absence of lecturers in amphitheaters on the strike action by university lecturers over unpaid research allowances.
Obviously, we don't know why. We heard a rumor that teachers are on strike, so we don't actually know if it's true or not.
Actually, we had classes yesterday, but the science department did not have class because they did not pay the salary of the teachers.
We were equally told by some students that some of their lecturers abandoned classes to pay academic homage to Professor Maurice Tadaje, lecturer of the University of Yaoundé 1. It should be recalled that lecturers of some state universities have been on strike since Wednesday over unpaid research allowances. A release from the Ministry of Higher Education Thursday states that the allowances will be paid next week.
Now, the registration process of potential voters on the biometric electoral list in the littoral region is said to just be 35% gone, less than 40 days to the close of the entire exercise. And the statistics were reviewed today during consultation meeting with Vuri elites for a relaunch of the campaign to get more Cameroonians registered on the biometric kit. And Ranibel Sato sat through that session and compiled the following report.
It was revealed during the consultation meeting at the Douala City Council that only 180,400 potential voters have so far been registered on the electoral list in the Vuri division, and only 289,000 of the over 800,000 in the whole of the littoral region in less than 40 days to the close of the exercise. Political party leaders, civil society actors, and elites of the Vuri division blamed the slow pace of the exercise to the lack of confidence Cameroonians now have in the electoral system in the country.
Open the way to access to democracy by changing the electoral law, by introducing the majority to 18-year-old by openly saying that for the presidential election, it will be second tour. This second tour is given to select two best candidates and make a choice.
The participants demanded that more personnel and kits be provided to councils and for field workers not to be biased or politically motivated if they have to catch up with the February 28 deadline. There were also calls for handicapped persons to be considered in the mobilization and registration process.
Yeah, we are multiplying so many strategies. Some of them are already
Elekam officials on their part said in order to attain their set goals before the targeted deadline, the elites, civil society actors as well as political parties must join in the campaign to make Cameroonians believe in elections Cameroon and also know that voting is their civic obligation.
And Elekam officials in the country still have a long way to go. Likewise, the earmarked project ahead of the reunification celebrations in the country. The Southwest Regional Governor Bernard Okalia-Bilai has underscored that ongoing projects ahead of the reunification celebrations are not being executed as planned, and also said that senior divisional officers in the region will be blamed if they are not completed on time. Bernard Okalia-Bilai was speaking during the first evaluation meeting ahead of the historic event. Abuya-based correspondent Derek Jato tells us more in the following report.
If they refuse to clap, you report it to me. I will arrest them.
This is the second time the Southwest Governor is calling the word arrest of executors of project earmarked for the 50th anniversary of the reunification celebration of Cameroon since the start of 2013. At the National Social Insurance Fund, where the first evaluation meeting of 2013 was held by the Southwest Regional Support Committee for the reunification, to assess the level of work done on the project, Governor Bernard Okalia-Bilai, the chair, was not happy with the attitude of contractors and engineers. For instance, they report that Tole-Sasemaifo Road is at 60% execution, and the contrary report from the supervisory authorities that the road is poorly done. The invisible parliamentarian flats contractor, and yet the delegate of tourism keeps singing his praises. The abandoned Kumba Mondema Road, no clear dates as to when water and electricity will be sufficiently supplied to the population, triggered the Southwest Governor to say that these people playing with the state assignment will be arrested. He said this time on a more serious note.
It's not a joke, it's not a threat. He will be arrested.
After listening to problems tabled by senior divisional officers of the region, the governor instructed them on what to do.
I want you all, the senior divisionals, do what you have to do. If it is above you, report to me. If it is above me, we report to the minister.
To this traditional ruler, the question as to why a contract is poorly executed should be directed first to an engineer, even before the contractor.
That's why I said it clean and clear that such engineers who have been given responsibility to control government projects and they don't do them well, they decide to connive with the contractor to do a bad job, then share the money, should be tried in court and jailed.
Derek Jato there reporting on how far the region is prepared to host the country's reunification celebration. Now we take you to the southwest region of the country, where the population of Opankam have been told to accept verdicts arrived at undisputed piece of land in the area. The senior divisional officer for Opankam spoke during a Meet the People tour in his area of command. Annabella tells us more in the following report.
Inhabitants at the Opankam division came out en masse to get a one-to-one contact with the newly installed senior divisional officer. Be it from Bafrang to Babone, Babuchu Ngale to Basap, and in Bana, the locals expressed all their difficulties to the senior divisional officer, Mekuntane Obono Abe. The problems range from education to insufficient social amenities.
Dans nos établissements différents de Saint-Germain ici, les points de route le problème d'éducation, le manque d'eau aussi.
Land disputes and queries over boundaries could not miss out amongst the problems of the people in the Opankam division.
Nous avons actuellement un problème frontalier entre le Bafan et le Bapucha. Un chef qui a créé 2 chefferies dans son groupement. Ce n'est pas permis.
The SDO seems to be aware of all the problems.
Problèmes qui ont trait au litige foncier, les problèmes qui ont trait à la succession au niveau des chefferies et aux limites territoriales entre certains groupes.
And wishes every villager could collaborate.
Il faudrait que les populations soient prêtes à accepter les verdicts et pour ce faire, leur implication devrait être importante dans la résolution de ce problème.
Lack of farm-to-market roads, odd nature of infrastructure, insufficient agricultural input and succession problems were also some difficulties posed to the prefect, who promised to do all within his competence to ensure that life returns to normal in villages in the Opankam division.
A brief note out of Cameroon, but still in the African continent before we go. The former Minister of Youth in Ivory Coast, Charles Blé Goudé, was this afternoon or Thursday afternoon arrested in neighboring Ghana. He was a powerful figure under the regime of the former president of Cote d'Ivoire, Laurent Gbagbo, and he fled from the country when Laurent Gbagbo was ousted from power after refusing to accept the victory of Alassane Ouattara, and Charles Blé Goudé was accused of violent and economic crimes. And viewers, that does it for this edition of the Primetime Newscast on ETV. We thank you so much for your keen attention. Meantime, have a wonderful stay in the company of our programs. Good evening.
Budget